Hayes is a name that I think Will's going to enjoy having in that lineup. He was an all-star a couple years ago. He had some health setbacks, and perhaps the now that the health stuff's behind him, his body's feeling really good that we could, tap back into him being the all-star that he was in 2023. That was the enticing part of bringing in Austin Hayes, let alone the individual, the quality of the high character makeup that we wanted to also bring into our clubhouse.
Do you envision your team being I mean, you have guys that potentially can hit a lot of home runs, but is that what you envision when you look at your ball club and having the favorable ballpark and the guys that have power? Is that something that maybe was missing for the last few years and might be a part of your team this season?
Well, you look at what Murakami could potentially do. You look at Colson Montgomery and what he did when he came up to the big leagues. We've got power, throughout the throughout the offense. Different levels of it. It's not it's not going to be a power driven team. If it is, that's a bonus. We know being in Chicago that the weather isn't always, a factor in which it helps power. July's the month that usually it really heats up and the ball flies. But other than July, it's a stadium that usually plays a little bit more neutral, a little bit more fair. So to have a balance of contact and some power, power usually comes with some strikeouts. So we want to diversify the best that we can. If we happen to err on the side of more power, that's great. But we have some guys that can do a couple different things. But having some power is important. We know that when we've had power outages in the past, it's tough to win ball games. It is, and it's a lot of close ball games, and really, reliant on pitchers just putting up zeros regularly, which is a hard thing to do. So Slater's got some power, shows up most often, against lefties, but he can do it to both sides, and then Colson Montgomery and like I said, with Murakami and Vargas has got some pop and Sosa. In addition to, the style of play and a Maedroth and Acuna, so we can really move the ball around, get on base, create some havoc with some speed, and then the bonus of some power as well.
James?
Hey, Chris, I wonder if you could just talk kind of more about how this came together and when Austin kind of emerged as an option for you. Because obviously, from the outside, it looks like you guys got a lot of things done right after the Robert trade got pulled off. But I imagine, contact with him started and seeing him as an option started before that.
Yeah, we've been talking to Hayes for a little bit now. We had some other priorities that we were focused on. We knew that with Slater and Tauchman and Michael Taylor, not coming back, or the potential of not coming back, that we felt like there was an opportunity for a veteran type bat, and the outfield was the obvious one, especially after moving Louis. So yeah, conversation certainly picked up after, in terms of like the seriousness of getting a deal done, but we had interest with on Hayes, from jump.
You said the wings. Do you view him as playing right field and left field equally, or just kind of versatile to put wherever you need him in terms of that respect?
Yeah, I don't know precisely. He's a guy that can play pretty good defense on both wings. So yeah, a lot of it's going to be dependent on how Will wants to put together a lineup. Are we going to be more defensive focused? Are we going to try to get more offense today? Just the optimal lineup. So it's tough to tell if it's going to be just left field or right field or which one he finds more playing time.
Lamont?
Hey, Chris, you mentioned Austin dealing with some of those injuries the past year as well, but just when he was healthy, what were some of the things that sort of stood out about his offense and just sort of what are the things he can kind of build on going on into 2026?
I mean, he mashes lefties. He does. And it's not that he can't handle righties either. It's just it really jumped out to us the ability to hit left-handed pitching. When he's healthy, he's locked in. he's got a relationship, a built baked in relationship with Ryan Fuller from his Baltimore days. So, when we got on a call, the first call with him and looked at some of his tendencies, the last couple of years when he was going well, when he wasn't going as well. And I mean, it was like they were on the same page right out of the gate. So I think that increased the comfort level for Hayes coming in here. He feels really good about where his game is. He feels really good about where his body is, most importantly. But to know that he's coming to a place, with Showman and Fuller, that have a pretty good understanding of his base, what makes him go, what makes him good. So, yeah, that certainly helped us get it to the finish line.
Jesse?
Hey, Chris, you may have answered it there with Fuller, but when you bring in a veteran with such a young group, is it almost 50-50 ability, and what is his character and leadership like? Is it so essential to have that right guy in there with a young group to help lead them or at least show by example?
Yeah, the talent part is the most important part, the on-field performance. But also, we know that what he offers in a clubhouse, how he conducts his business on the field, off the field. We have a young forming group that, young players are impressionable often. And he, whether it be Cincinnati or Baltimore, it was very clear in getting to know Austin more that, he takes pride in helping other players and being a good teammate, and had plenty of stories of how he felt like he helped influence some of these younger players as they were getting comfortable at the major league level, or trying to get comfortable at the major league level. So that certainly was a factor. And I know in conversations with Will, as he was looking at this group, especially this outfield group, it was young. It's a young, inexperienced group that, certainly, we can offer a runway. But it is nice to know that they're going into this with someone that's done it before, has gone through the ups and downs of this game and certain stretches and playing in certain environments. Austin can help relieve any of that, the stress that comes with unknowns, and we have felt that with certain individuals, the last couple of years based on their experiences. So, we felt like this was a really good fit for not only the talent, but what he brings to the table from a clubhouse standpoint as well.
Coach?
Chris, how are we doing today?
Good, man. How you doing, Coach?
Great. Two questions. First of all, you had a very productive off season. Are you satisfied with what you've done thus far, or what you have accomplished? And what additions would you personally like to see in addition to what you've done thus far?
Never satisfied. I don't want to call it greedy, but you just want to continue to find ways to bring in players that can help you win baseball games, and there's different ways of doing that. I do feel like we're in a really, really good spot. We feel like we've had a very productive off season. Reflecting back, if you would have told me that we would have ended up with the players that we had from the beginning, I would say that I would have been okay. We accomplished a lot this off season. Didn't know specifically where it was going to head. It was more just, all right, these are the types of players that we're targeting for certain reasons, and through that processes we were able to acquire the players that we have. So, never satisfied. We're still looking for opportunities to improve this club, and there's different ways of doing that. We do feel like the heaviest of lifting has happened, but that doesn't mean that we're just gonna sit here and pack it in and the roll the balls out come for day one of spring training. So continue to have conversations with clubs. Does anything come together? I'm not entirely sure. Obviously, conversations with free agents as well. But at this point, we feel like we're in a much better place than where we were at the end of the last season.
My second question, just out of curiosity, with a lot of changes and additions to the team, what has been the Benettini fits into the plans for this upcoming season? And has there been any interest from other teams in acquiring him?
Sorry, can you say that one more time?
where does Andrew Benintendi fit into plans for this upcoming season? And has there been any inquiries from other teams about adding him to their team?
I mean, we still really like Benintendi, the left-handed bat. He's hit 20 plus home runs the last 2 years. And, he's a guy that you feel good about in the lineup. What has held him back are his legs. Being able to cover ground like he used to. So I know he feels good athletically right now. That's going to be, what really dictates the amount of outfield play that he'll get. At the very least, we're looking at a guy that we feel good about when he walks into the box. In regards to interest from other clubs, we haven't had too many conversations about Andrew. So we anticipate he's going to be on this club come opening day, and we still like it when he shows up in the box.
Scott Merkin.
Thanks, Joe. Hey, Chris, kind of along the same lines of Benintendi, you mentioned Sosa earlier, and you kind of look at the layout of the infield and you look at the possibilities of DH. I know he really deserves credit for the way he kind of stuck with early struggles and was one of your more productive hitters last year. How does Lenine kind of fit in moving forward, though?
There is a little bit of redundancy with the right-handed corner bats. He obviously has played a fair amount of second base. There's going to be some opportunities still to play there, some first base and some DH. He's a player that we like having in the lineup, but our roster has improved. And, I still think there's going to be a lot of at-bats for Lenine. I do. So, I call it, I would say it's a good problem to have with a quality like bat like that perhaps there are times that are difficult to get into the lineup, but we know what he brings to the table offensively. We need to get him more comfortable at first base, continue to improve him at second base. So there is some level of versatility that in his game is in his game, and needs to remain for him to get the consistent at bats that we would like him to have just because of the power output that he brings.
Do we have anything else for Chris today? James?
Drifting further off topic, at the end of last season, you said Mike Vasil would be kind of a relief option for you guys. How has your situation evolved, or how is it that maybe he's a guy you look to stretch out come spring camp?
Yeah, he's building himself up to be in a multi-inning role. If we were to want to extend him even further, we have those capabilities. So he'll come in, being able to pitch more than one inning. He did that in the bullpen last year. He took a couple starts as well. So we're still kind of open-minded on that. It is nice that now that the Rule 5 handcuffs are off. So, that allows us to be perhaps a little bit more creative, with him. But we're at this point, he's going to go in and compete for different roles, and it could be starting, but it also could be at the pen, and we know how beneficial it was to have him in the bullpen last year too.
Is it going to be kind of similar to last year in terms of casting a pretty wide net at the outset of guys that you're setting up for multiple innings and then seeing how it shakes out from there?
It looks like it. Yeah, we're planning that way.
Jesse?
I'll go further off topic. How do you consume like the news of Framber Valdez last night? What I'm asking is like, are you still on the stage of just worrying about your own team? And, there might be in a different version of this where you were like, oh man, the Tigers just loaded up. How do you internalize that?
Well, I would say bringing in Austin Hayes helps us. If you're getting Tarek Skubal and Framber Valdez back to back, or having to face those guys in in a series. So yeah, your mind goes to, okay, what are our weapons to combat that level of talent, what the Tigers are bringing to the table. I mean, as a competitor, I mean, naturally, yeah, your mind goes there, but it's not. Oh man, he's going to the Tigers. I guess, yeah, there is a level of it would be nice for him to be outside of the division because he's a really talented pitcher, but That's not how we operate. Okay, we just how do we deploy the best team that we can put together, against the Detroit Tigers, knowing that they have Framber Valdez now.
Chapter 3, MLB Scouts, New York Mets. One day, Coach Franklin called and asked me to scout for him. Without hesitation, I signed the contract, officially becoming a scout for the New York Mets. Pittsburgh Pirates. This experience opened the door that led me to scout for the Pittsburgh Pirates under Billy Brick, a man I deeply respected. He had a reputation that resonated throughout MLB and beyond the baseball community. His belief in me made all the difference, and I honor his memory today. Rest in peace, Bill Brick. Kansas City Royals. This led me to a morning I'll never forget. Around 9 a.m., I received an unexpected call from the Kansas City Royals, looking for a scout to cover the Chicago inner city. The rest is in the book. Purchase the book and get all the info. Just go online and order yours today at yourdiary247.us. That's yourdiary247.us. You won't regret it. Click the link to share, subscribe, follow, or like us on social media. Thank you in advance for your support. The Diary of a Coach. Former MLB Scout. 40 years, I just can't tell it all.